This audio clip is brought to you by Beads at Dusty Creek, your premier bead store in the greater Portland area. I'm Eric Dickman, your host for this interview with our guest, Rhiannon Griffiths of Flameborn Bead Designs. This is your first trunk show visit to BDC, and lamp work is a relatively new tool for you for your artistic expression. And I believe this is your first trunk show ever. Wow, that's a lot of firsts. But beading and artistic design is not new for you. Could you please tell us a little bit about your history and your artistic journey? How is it that you came to share these treasures with us this weekend?
Well, thank you, Eric, and thank you for inviting me to be part of this trunk show. And let me say that my name is pronounced Rhiannon. It's a Welsh name, and so it's a little bit difficult. A lot of people have a hard time with that. But if you think of the Fleetwood Mac song, then you'll get it.
All right.
Okay. Well, I always love to create and work with my hands. And I think the first art form that I actually took up was embroidery when I was about 8 years old. I taught myself to use the needle and thread to create pretty images and designs on fabric. And I would spend hours and hours at the local dime store poring over the colors of thread to create my favorite color combinations. And I think that probably every one of my cousins, aunts, and uncles got something that I made for several years. In the 70s, that was in the Midwest. In the 70s, I moved to the Northwest and befriended some artistic folks who, with me together, created a leather company that we called Atelier. And we made hand-carved, hand-bound, leather-covered journals, complete with marbleized end leaves on the pages. We sold at the Portland Saturday Market, and we traveled around the state and to many states to sell our journals. We moved to Glen Eden Beach in 1975 and opened a shoe repair shop. Yes, I know that sounds weird, but it was the side business, kind of the bread and butter for while we were making what we really wanted to sell. And on the weekends,
always good to have a skill, isn't it?
It is. Well, I didn't do the shoe repair. That was my other partners. I just did the creative part.
Excellent.
But on the weekends, we would alternate between Portland and Eugene Saturday markets. And, we sold at the Oregon Country Fair and Seattle Bumper Shoot, many different fairs in the Northwest. In the 80s, I took a break from art and followed a path of discovery focusing on body, mind, and spirit. I entered college to study psychology and sociology and then found a new career in counseling. And always intent on merging mind, body, and spirit, I followed this path to massage and body work. And after going to massage school and getting trained in Hakomi body-centered psychotherapy, I then had a practice doing that particular method of psychotherapy and body work. Well, after about 3 auto accidents in 1991, 92, I moved away from this physical practice. I just couldn't do it anymore. And due to a friend's request that I marry her and her fiance, I got licensed to perform ceremonies. And this led me then into New West Seminary here in Oregon City, where I received a Master of Divinity. And my ministry primarily focused on ritual, ceremony, and counseling couples on the way to the altar. Then during those years, that's when I started delving into seed bead work, making jewelry and fabric art and many other creative projects. And a little over 3 years ago is when I bought a lampwork necklace from Carolyn Crystal in Hood River. We struck up a friendship, which resulted in me watching a demonstration by her. And as I watched her, I was so mesmerized by the flame and the glass and the melting process. And something inside of me just opened up and said, I can do that. And I have no idea why I thought I could melt glass using a torch, because none of my art had taken me to that place before. But I followed my inner voice and I took a class. And then fast forward about a year, my wife surprised me for my 65th birthday with a shop set up. She had got all her friends together to help do that, and I was absolutely delighted. And I was really, really scared. It took me about 3 months to turn on that torch and begin, because I was afraid I'd blow up our house, which, it kind of froze me for a little while. But I called up Carol and I said, okay, help walk me through this. And I finally got the safety instruction that I really needed. And finally, I turned on that flame and I began to have a love affair with melting glass. And it wasn't until Amber Rose and I moved to Seal Rock and built a studio for flame-born bead design that I remembered a long ago promise to myself that I would someday retire at the coast and become an artist.
Well, very good, very good. And I'm not a beater and I'm not a lamp worker, but I like welding, and melting metal, I think, is about the most fun you can have. So
wow.
I totally understand and feel where you're coming from on that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for those insights. That certainly fills out the little bit of the history for you. I have to say your artist statement is one of the most perceptive and self-aware and charming ones I've ever read. And dear listener, if you want to read and connect with the metaphysical aspects of Rhiannon's creative process, I recommend that you read the full artist statement that's linked over at our homepage at bdc.com. I see, though, that I failed to mention that you're based on the Oregon coast. You mentioned it, but I just want to underline that I think that qualifies you as a local artist.
Yes, I think so.
I know you're drawn to the organic shapes and forms, but I also see ocean themes in your work. Exactly what types and styles of lamp work are you going to be bringing to Portland this weekend? I'm guessing beads and sets and some fanciful, delightful finished pieces, but maybe you could fill that out a little bit for me.
Sure. Well, so far, I think I'm a very eclectic artist in lamp working. My study of lamp working kind of reminds me of an eagle flying high above a glass bead banquet. Every shiny object calls my attention, and I keep trying new things and learning new techniques. I really don't like making the same bead over and over again. And what's true is that each bead is one of a kind, because we're not robots and it's not possible to make the same bead again and again with your hands. A close approximation, yes, but that said, I do make bead sets, which means 4 to 5 beads that look alike, meaning that they appear the same. What I really love is learning what combinations work well together with which colors and techniques. Some of my beads are what I call organic, as you said, meaning that they could pass for a semi-precious stone dug out of the ground and polished. They'll have layers and striations that look very organic. Some of my beads have the appearance of waves crashing on the sand. I also have some beads with sunsets and floral themes. I don't have what you would call a signature bead or style yet, because I'm still so interested in everything that I'm just trying everything until I, land on that one thing. But the closest thing that I would say is a signature bead would be like the Celtic knot designs that I do. That links me with my roots, my history. Mm-hmm. I also have what I call merging mandalas, but that are a stunning, complicated design that looks a bit like 2 dahlias merging together. If the flowers were facing each other and smushed together, they're quite amazing, and I have so much fun making them. I like to make one-of-a-kind focal beads too, so that's kind of the area that I'm most happy in. Also, this year I discovered double helix glass. It's a silver reactive glass that just sings when the flame is changed to a reducing or oxidizing flame. I'm getting a little technical here, but it looks one way when you melt it and it's applied, and then if you put it through a reduction flame, it changes as you waft it through the flame. It brings out the silvers and opalescent and iridescent colors. And then if you encase those colors in clear, the color completely changes to something else again. And it's just so much fun. I'm learning so much about them. But as for what I will actually be bringing, I'll be bringing necklaces and bracelets, earrings, as well as pendants, key fobs, decorative clips, and of course beads. Lots and lots of beads.
Okay. Well, that sounds wonderful. It sounds like there'll be something for everybody.
I hope so.
Yes, excellent.